Tonight, a boom in business.
We've seen a lot of increase in the auto tinting.
And a shade of caution.
Some of our officers, our traffic officers, carry window tint meters.
Keeping an eye on the legal limits of window tinting. The buzz on mosquitoes this summer.
The environmental conditions have allowed for the increase in mosquito breeding and mosquitoes that we've been seeing.
What's driving the increase and who's trying to get to the bottom?
And then we submit it to the lab where they count how many mosquitoes they have.
Of how harmful they may be. The so-called tire extinguishers at it again.
So on Monday morning, police received over 30 reports of incidents.
Dozens of victims.
Both my left side front and rear tire were flat.
And the frustration about the apparent reason.
I don't think it's the best way to get their point across.
Behind the ongoing problem. Good evening. We begin with a word of caution about something you may be seeing a lot more of these days on the roads. A boom in drivers wanting tinted windows on their vehicles has been keeping glass specialists and installers busy. It's also putting the legal limits surrounding tinting into focus. Let's go to CTV's Spencer Turcotte joining us live from Waterloo tonight. Spencer, you paid a visit to Albright Glass and Tint earlier today. Just one business where they've been busy keeping up with the demand.
And they have benefited from more drivers opting for this tinted look, but they are focused on steering customers in the right direction when it comes to safety standards. This Honda is getting a bit of a makeover at Albright Glass and Tint in Kitchener.
So that all has to be cleaned out.
Auto manager Ben Hullman has seen an increase in demand.
We've seen a lot of increase in the auto tinting.
So what's driving the interest in more vehicles having tinted windows?
Keeping the heat out of the cars so your AC in the cars work more efficiently.
It also helps limit glare.
The high rises and the way the buildings are, the glass themselves are reflecting into the driver's view, right?
And quite simply, drivers feel it looks cool.
A lot of people also like the look of it to match what they want.
But there is a limit to which windows on a vehicle can be tinted and how dark.
Some of our officers, our traffic officers, carry window tint meters. So this is a meter that detects the amount of light being transmitted through a piece of glass.
Staff Sergeant Scott Griffiths with the Waterloo Regional Police Service Traffic Unit says there are clear rules.
In the province of Ontario, there is a prohibition on having any tint whatsoever on your front windshield. Your rear passenger and rear driver's side windows and your back window can be tinted as dark as you like.
As for the front driver's side and front passenger side windows, what is considered too dark?
That any vehicle produced after 2017 cannot have tint on the side windows that exceeds 30%. That is to say that no more than 30% of the light can be blocked by the film that's on there. So right now, 84% or so of the light from the outside is being transmitted through into the vehicle.
The strict rules are to make sure officers can identify someone inside a vehicle based on their physical features and whether they pose a threat to an officer or the public, like texting and driving.
The fine for having a window tint that obscures the interior of your vehicle on the driver or passenger side is a $110 fine, or on the windshield for that matter.
So even though the responsibility falls on vehicle owners and not businesses, Albright says they are focused on making your car look and feel cool while still following the rules of the road.
That's what the main concern is. They want to be able to see the occupants up front.
And Albright has also seen a boom in the residential space. They're seeing more homes get tinted windows to help keep the place cool. And Tony, of course, for privacy.
Okay, appreciate that perspective. Spencer Turcotte, thank you very much for that report tonight. And let's shift gears now, if you will, and take a look at the weather. Heading over to Alex Pinto in studio. Didn't even mean to plan that fun. It just came to me.
Just happened.
After the automotive story. Yeah. Good day to be outside today. Not too bad, actually. Just on that borderline of almost feeling humid, but still comfortable.
Yeah, so we're not feeling that extreme humidity, but it's nice and sunny. Really, really great conditions to enjoy outside. So hopefully you had a chance to enjoy it in the afternoon, but that UV index was quite high, sitting at a 9 today. So yeah, we wanted to layer the sunscreen, wear those hats, and stay in the shade if you could. But overall, beautiful, beautiful day. Pretty much mainly clear skies for us here in Kitchener-Waterloo and surrounding areas. So no complaints there, especially if you are a sun lover, enjoying some nice blue sky out there this hour as well. Right now we're sitting at 24 in Kitchener-Waterloo, 23 in the city of Toronto, and if you are by the water, just slightly cooler, but it's quite enjoyable because we aren't feeling that extreme humidity out there. That said, though, a little bit more wet weather could be on the way, so we will break that down a little bit later. And with that, Tony, we could see a chance for a bit of wet weather to roll in. So we've been pretty spoiled the last day or so, even getting into tomorrow, looking quite beautiful. So hopefully you had a chance to get out and enjoy.
Okay, lots to talk about later. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. And speaking of things kind of related to the weather, if it feels like the mosquitoes have been especially bad this summer, public health says that is no surprise. Hot, humid conditions have created perfect breeding grounds. CTV's Colton Weens joining us live now with more on the work to make sure that West Nile virus isn't spreading. Always a concern. What's the word from public health, Colton?
Well, Tony, officials say so far no cases of West Nile virus have been detected in any mosquitoes in the region of Waterloo this summer, but a dead bird in the region did test positive for the virus. Public health officials are asking residents to take precautions to protect both themselves and the community from mosquito bites. This is how the region of Waterloo checks for West Nile virus in the community. 16 traps are set up in popular spots for mosquitoes across the region that capture adults for testing.
And then we submit it to the lab where they count how many mosquitoes they have, they identify the species of them if they're of concern to transmit the West Nile virus, and they test them for West Nile virus as well.
A seemingly simple design, dry ice is placed inside, which attracts the mosquitoes as it transforms into carbon dioxide gas, and a battery-powered fan traps the insects in a cup.
It depends on the environmental conditions, but it can be up to 200, but it can be as little as 2 mosquitoes.
Results are usually within the end of the week.
West Nile virus is carried by mosquitoes and can cause mild to severe illness. It spreads when they feed on an infected bird and then bite a person. Cases of West Nile virus have not been found in any pools of mosquitoes or in any humans in the region this summer, but a dead bird has tested positive for the virus. The region does say because of the transient nature of birds, a higher priority is placed on mosquito pool testing.
Traps would be increased in the event that there was a hot spot or there was an area of concern, but typically the 16 would be monitored throughout the summer.
Musa says the hot and wet summer has allowed for an increase in mosquito breeding. That's why beyond the testing, public health wants residents to take precautions around their properties by removing any standing water, ensuring screens are on all windows and doors, wearing protective clothing, and using insect repellent.
Change their water baths, change their ornamental ponds, at least once to twice weekly, any unused equipment on their property to remove. In addition, if there's any buildup of leaves and debris in the eaves trough, to allow the water to not stand on their property, because mosquitoes do love standing water.
Now, the region does conduct larviciding to eliminate larvae before they develop into adults. Residents can also contact public health for assistance with any standing water on their properties or to report any standing water on public lands that may need to be assessed. It's also recommended that anyone who finds a dead bird, they should report it directly to the Canadian Wildlife Health Cooperative. Tony.
Good information. Colton Weens live on the patio. Colton, thank you for that. A pedestrian was rushed to the hospital this morning after being hit by a transport truck near Rockwood. This collision happened at around 5 a.m. on Wellington County Road 124 at Wellington Road 29, just west of Rockwood. Police say the truck was heading east when it struck the pedestrian, who was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries.
The pedestrian was an adult. I don't have an age as of yet. Right now that person is at a trauma center out of region. I can say that they were originally transported by land ambulance, and then they were later transported by Orange Air Ambulance to outer region trauma center.
Police are appealing for dash cam footage or witnesses as they continue investigating. Oxford County OPP say one person is in critical condition after a late afternoon crash east of Woodstock. The crash involved a commercial truck and a passenger vehicle. An occupant in the car was airlifted to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver of the truck was uninjured. The collision happened at Shaw Line and Highway 53 at around 3 this afternoon. Well, the music world is reeling tonight at news of the death of Ozzy Osbourne. He rose to fame in the 1970s as the frontman for Black Sabbath. Just 3 weeks ago, he played in Black Sabbath's farewell gig. CTV's Heather Wright looks back at the life of an extraordinary performer.
The godfather of heavy metal, the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne was a showman, a singer, and later a reality TV star who rose to fame in the 1970s as the frontman of Black Sabbath. Known for his iconic wail, Osbourne was an icon of the heavy metal genre he helped pioneer. Today, the Osbourne family said in a statement, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love." Born John Michael Osbourne in Birmingham, England, Osbourne recorded more than half a dozen albums with Black Sabbath, including hits like Paranoid and War Pigs. But by 1979, his struggles with substance abuse were so severe, he was fired by the band. Mama, I'm coming home. Osbourne went on to have a successful solo career and was later inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, with both Black Sabbath and as a solo artist. Both beloved and controversial, Osbourne once bit off the head of a bat while on stage and was arrested for trying to strangle his wife while drunk. He later reconciled with his wife Sharon and became a reality TV dad to a whole new generation in the show The Osbournes, along with 2 of his 5 children, Jack and Kelly. In 2020, Osbourne announced he had Parkinson's disease and, despite his health challenges, tried many times to return to the stage. Just weeks ago, he performed from a black throne on stage with Black Sabbath in his hometown of Birmingham. It was his first show in 20 years with the original band members, and it would be the last of his legendary life. Heather Wright, CTV News.
Stay in the know with the CTV Kitchener newsletter. Local content from our newsroom right to your email inbox every morning. We've got a look at the day's top stories, the latest forecast, and some must-see videos. You can sign up at ctvnewskitchener.ca. Dozens more vehicle owners in Waterloo Region have fallen victim to some self-described eco-activists. Coming up, CTV's Jeff Pickle hears from people who appear to have been targeted by the so-called tire extinguishers group and from police who've been flooded with calls about it.
Beautiful sunny conditions, but another warm-up could be on the way with a bit more humidity. The details in your full forecast coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news.
The judge in the sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players is expected to hand down her verdict on Thursday. With more on the events in this case and what to expect once the judge's decision is revealed, here's CTV's Nick Paparella.
It started out as a night of celebration and partying in London by members of the 2018 Canadian World Junior hockey team to commemorate their gold medal win. However, it ended up with 5 members embroiled in a highly publicized sexual assault case involving a woman in a hotel room who was 20 years old at the time. It's a trial that would change their collective lives forever, with the woman called to testify and the players forced to leave their hockey careers.
There was a lot of hype about the case from the day that the individuals were first arrested and ultimately released.
Nick Cake is a criminal defense lawyer who has watched the proceedings intently.
And oftentimes, sexual assault cases are the word of one person against the word of the other. And essentially, that's what played out here. It's just that it was the word of one person against the words of others, because the complainant had alleged that multiple people sexually assaulted her in the presence of multiple people.
The case had a rocky start back in April after 2 mistrials were declared. 2 separate juries were dismissed, and the trial was then handed over to Justice Maria Caracia. The court heard evidence that the woman, who can only be identified as EM, had been drinking and partying with the players at Jack's Bar in downtown London before willingly going back to the Delta Armories Hotel for consensual sex with one of the players, Michael McLeod. However, when she testified, she told the court she wasn't expecting other players to gather in room 209.
This case certainly took some very interesting turns. So once you're drawn into it, it kept your attention because there seemed to be some new twist or turn taking place every day.
And, regardless of whether, they're found guilty of whatever those accounts are, I think we've heard things that are quite disturbing throughout this case.
Laura Meisner is a professor and a safe sport advisor at Western University.
I think the attention, is indicating that there is more work to be done. Despite all of the policies that have been set in place, the educational programs that we've put in place, we need to do more work, and we need to be thinking about this more broadly.
London police initially investigated the alleged incident in June of 2018, but found that there wasn't enough to charge the players, in part citing a video with the woman consenting to sex, which was shown during the trial. However, after she settled a lawsuit with Hockey Canada, London investigators reopened the case in early 2024 and charged McLeod along with Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Alex Formanton, and Cal Foote. They have all pled not guilty to sexual assault. McLeod has also pled not guilty to the additional charge of being a party to the offense. This sexual assault trial has been polarizing at times, with protesters from both sides outside the London courthouse. It's not only made headlines across Canada, but around the world as well.
And I urged people at the start of this to let the court make the decision. The court of public opinion, in my opinion, has never had standing anywhere, and it shouldn't have standing in this case, of course.
I don't think we are hearing the last of the outcome of this case, regardless of whatever comes out on July 24th. The polarizing nature helps us open up broader conversations about what we need to be thinking about, what we could be doing better, and maybe convincing the people that still haven't bought in to the problems that exist in these types of cultures that maybe there does need to be change.
Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Well, it was described as an act of protest, but it's also a criminal act and a major inconvenience. More than 30 vehicle owners in Elmira found the air had been let out of their tires. The people behind it, part of the self-described eco movement. They say they're trying to persuade people to ditch gas guzzlers, but victims say all it did was make them late for work. CTV's Jeff Pickle reports.
Identity concealed, the suspect approaches an SUV in the dead of night. But they're not there to take the vehicle or take anything except the air out of the tires.
So on Monday morning, police received over 30 reports of incidents where vehicles' tires the air had been let out of them during the overnight hours.
Dozens of victims, mostly on Timber Trail Road in Elmira.
Both my left side front and rear tire were flat.
Jeff says he got up to walk his dog when he saw the paper on his windshield, but didn't notice his tires until he saw his neighbors in a panic.
Noticed a couple neighbors down the street were running back and forth with compressors and trying to get people up and running to get to work on time.
Jeff, who is retired, says he wasn't too deflated by the deflation, but says others were.
It is an inconvenience for a lot of people. To get to work, a couple of them had to Uber.
The group is called the Tire Extinguishers, a very loose collection of activists from across the globe aimed at getting large gas-consuming vehicles off the road. The pamphlet left on the vehicle reads, "Attention, your gas guzzler kills," adding, "You'll be angry, but don't take it personally. It's not you, it's your car. We did this because driving in an urban area in your massive vehicle has huge consequences for others. It's a tactic some victims say is not effective.
I don't think it's the best way to get their point across. You know what, they should maybe protest on the street, City Hall, somewhere else.
Police say none of the vehicles suffered permanent damage, but say this is a serious incident.
This type of incident would follow under like mischief to property.
And they say deflating tires could have serious consequences.
They don't realize that the air has been let out of their tires and they start driving. So obviously there is the safety component.
Police say they are investigating, and anyone with information or video should reach out. Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Elmira.
Accessibility upgrades to a baseball diamond in Cambridge that's home to an adaptive baseball program will be in focus tonight. City Council will be discussing how to cover the cost of the promised improvements at the Kin 1 baseball diamond at Riverside Park. CTV's Krista Simpson joins us now with more details on this story. Krista.
Well, Tony, Cambridge councillors committed to making some major upgrades to the ball diamond last year. The cost about $3 million. City staff had hoped part of it would be covered through a grant from the Jays Care Foundation, but they didn't end up getting that money, so now they're suggesting another option to pay for the upgrades.
Rory Small loves baseball.
I get to go in the outfield and play with my friends.
Rory is among more than 115 athletes participating this year in Buddy League. The adaptive baseball program uses the Kin 1 diamond at Cambridge's Riverside Park that can be a challenge even just to get to.
A lot of our athletes do come here on their wheelchairs, and as you can see looking around, there is not a clear path. It's actually gravel, and so a lot of the wheelchairs will get stuck. The bathrooms are not really accessible, so some of our athletes are not able to use the washrooms.
Last fall, Cambridge Council approved a plan to improve accessibility at the diamond, creating pathways, better bleachers, an artificial turf infield, and accessible dugouts, as well as accessible washrooms. The vision similar to this project in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, called the Sandlot.
Making sure that it is fully accessible and fully inclusive is really, really valuable and really most important for ensuring that everybody can get off the sidelines and into the game.
The promised upgrades come at a cost of more than $3 million. It had been hoped about half of that would be covered through grants and donations, but the city's application to the Jays Care Foundation was unsuccessful. City staff now recommending the entire amount be funded through debt.
It is an investment within the community and within the people that live here.
Those who have been calling for the accessibility improvements say these changes will benefit the community as a whole.
This is really that chance to become that welcoming space. Not only is it a facility that we can use as Buddy League, but the entire community can use.
The city has also launched a fundraising campaign encouraging residents, groups, and businesses to donate to the project.
I really would encourage anyone thinking about being a part of this and sponsoring, just come and just hang out with us. Just spend some time with us. I'm telling you, you'll fall in love with the sport, you're going to fall in love with the athletes, and you're going to fall in love with this community.
Work to make accessible washrooms is supposed to start soon, and field improvements could begin after the end of the baseball season and be finished by next summer. This item is on the agenda for the council meeting that starts in just a few minutes. Tony.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that discussion tonight. Krista Simpson, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's take a live look outside now on this Tuesday evening. The sun's still shining out there tonight, perhaps a little bit hazier than it was yesterday. Is that a hint of the humidity to come later this week? Alex is going to be back in just a few minutes to tell us how the rest of the week is going to unfold weather-wise. Also ahead, remember Beanie Babies, or even way farther back, Cabbage Patch Dolls? Well, now it's all about the Labubu craze. CTV's Ashley Bacon looks at the ups and downs of the race to get wildly popular toys. Next, though, all business in cottage country. The Prime Minister's message to the premiers as they huddled in Muskoka to talk about the U.S. trade war.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. Alex is here with our look at the forecast. And boy, you were right about last night being a good night to keep the windows open. It was really nice to let some fresh air in, and it's amazing how even 17 or 18 degrees now feels cool after that heat wave we were through earlier in the month.
It's just such a nice break. We also left several windows open, and it was just so nice to be in the covers, nice breeze, minus the dog barking one time, I think in the middle of the night. That woke me up just for a half second. He's getting used to it, so I'm a big fan of it.
Well, he's got a good scent, right? So anything that's wafting in from outside, he's on it.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, no, beautiful conditions. Tonight also, it's going to be a pretty nice night to keep those windows open, pretty clear as we dip down to an expected overnight low of 12 degrees. But before we get into that, well, it looks like a nice night to maybe go for a walk or maybe have a drink or some dinner on the patio or your deck as we take a live look outside from Kitchener this hour. That blue sky is still with us. We're seeing just a few clouds, but yes, that sun is still shining. Nice warm conditions, and we're not feeling that extreme humidity, which is making it definitely more enjoyable in terms of being outside. But that UV index has been quite high today, sitting at about 9, so hopefully you did layer up that sunscreen earlier today. Mainly clear conditions as we get into the rest of the evening and even when we get into the overnight conditions too. So pretty nice overall, not too much to see here, which is nice. We want to take as many days like this as we can. If only summer could just be like this every day, but no, of course, we've got to see a little bit of active weather on the way. So looking ahead to Thursday, that's when we could see the cloud cover moving in, and we could see some scattered showers throughout. Risk of a thunderstorm possible as well, so keeping an eye on that as the evening continues. You might want to keep an eye on any outdoor plans or maybe keep that umbrella handy just in case. Right now, we're sitting at 25 here in Kitchener-Waterloo, so this is the highest point we've actually gotten to today. Our expected high, 26, so we're going to see if we do hit that in the next hour or so. If you are by the water, slightly cooler there, 23 in Toronto, 24 in Hamilton. Again, with that humidex, not really feeling much more. So normal for this time is 26, so we are expected to hit where we should be for this time. 36 degrees, though. That was our record high set in 1955. And then on this day in 1992, we hit a low of 6 degrees overnight. That sun now rising shortly after 6 o'clock in the morning and setting 5 minutes or so before 9 o'clock. So we're noticing the days getting a little bit shorter, but they still feel nice, long, and enjoyable, and we are still well into summer. So overnight, as noted, 12 degrees expected overnight low, clear conditions. So again, another great night to maybe keep those windows open, get that breeze going. And then tomorrow, UV index, again, sitting at 9, which is considered very high. So similar to what we saw today, sunny conditions and an expected high of 29. So that's when we, again, want to layer up that sunscreen, wear those hats, find the shade if you can. So tomorrow, looking like a pretty nice day, but it's going to feel warmer. So expected high just shy of 30 degrees until we get into Thursday. So that's when we're going to see a high of 32 potentially. And with that humidex, it is going to feel much, much more humid before more rain is expected for your Friday. And for Lambton, Kent, and Essex, pardon me, sunny conditions expected for your Wednesday as well. A little bit warmer by 1 degree or so they're expected. 30 degrees. That's going to be your expected high before chance of showers rolling in for the rest of the work week and ahead of the weekend. And then for southern Georgian Bay, looks like a nice day again to be by the water. Hopefully, maybe you're lucky enough to be by a lake or poolside. Maybe you've got the week off and can enjoy from your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with plenty of sunshine. And again, your Thursday, Friday, just a chance for a bit more of that humidity to start to roll in and potentially some wet weather. And here is tonight's Weather Watcher picture. So we've heard of the dog days of summer, but what about, I know, cow days of summer? Denise sending us this photo saying these cows know how to cool off in the summer heat, adding they even posed for a picture in a small creek. This was taken near Milverton, and I just love this shot.
It's
Many
great.
of them just cooling off there. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this.
I love how different our Weather Watcher contributors continue to be with the different images they capture and send to us.
And I've noted, and you know, not ignoring all of you sending us the sunrise and sunset shots. We've been getting tons of those. thought we'd change it up a little bit with maybe some cows cooling off by the creek today.
Why not? And as the old story goes, they're not all lying down, so it wasn't about to rain anytime. So have you heard that one?
Yeah, and I feel like it's worked or it's true or something.
I believe it. Yes, it may be fiction, but it proves it sometimes.
Maybe on Thursday we'll have to keep an eye on any cows lying down. Maybe then that'll be a sign.
We'll test the old theory. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, Canada's premiers meeting in cottage country today say they had a good discussion with the Prime Minister and learned more about the ongoing negotiations with the U.S. But Mark Carney made it clear provinces and territories need to do what they can at home. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports from Huntsville.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was in good spirits as he arrived on scene for today's talks. But quickly, he got down to business.
We are looking for the best deal for Canada. We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada.
Premiers came in saying they wanted clarity on whether the two countries are on track towards a new trade pact by U.S. President Donald Trump's August 1st deadline, and came out indicating they care less about when a deal is reached, rather what is in it.
It sounds like we're making some progress, making sure that we get the best deal and not just the deal available.
I would be worried that if we constrain ourselves that we have to get a deal by a certain date, that we maybe have to, maybe do some things or give up some things.
Carney met behind closed doors with provincial and territorial leaders for more than 2 hours, telling them that he and senior federal officials are engaged in continuous discussions with the Americans. But the Prime Minister offered no assurances that a good deal for Canada will be reached in the next 10 days, or whether the country is ready to retaliate with counter tariffs.
We'll take stock if there isn't one that works. A good deal is something that preserves, reinforces, and stabilizes those relationships as much as possible. A good deal is also one that doesn't tie our hands.
Premiers then took part in a strategy session with former ambassadors to the U.S. about next steps.
There's one thing we can thank President Trump for, is getting us moving, getting us united like I've never seen before.
The Prime Minister and Premiers also discussed ways to build new trade relationships with trusted partners other than the U.S., as well as ways to support affected industries should tariffs linger. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
Libraries have gone way beyond books lately, and in Kitchener, a new one has gone right into the kitchen. Coming up, CTV's Karis Map is going to show us why literacy of a whole different flavor is on the agenda.
I'm Heather Senator, and the Toronto Blue Jays are on a record-breaking winning streak, and fans here in KW are going wild. Find out how local businesses are benefiting coming up.
From Labubus to Funko Pops and Pokemon cards, when it comes to toys, mystery bags and blind boxes have exploded in popularity. It's all about the gamble of not knowing exactly what you're getting when you spend money. CTV's Ashley Bacon now on how the latest toy craze is exploding online and in local stores.
In the 90s, it was Beanie Babies. The 2000s, Hatchimals. One of the latest crazes, Labubus. It's a highly sought-after toy that's caused a buying frenzy.
They've probably got a couple of them that are super rare, and these are the ones that, third-party and aftermarkets are reselling at higher amounts because people really want them.
Adding to the allure is the element of mystery, which is becoming more common for already popular items.
Doesn't matter if you're a kid or if, you're a grown adult with your own money. What is appealing is the element of surprise, that every purchase is a bit of a gamble.
That is what retailers are betting on, that sense of excitement. With many online streamers uploading videos of them opening cards, boxes, and bags with the hopes that they unveil a highly sought-after item.
Even though we might not think of these purchases as gambling per se, you're still spending on money, buying in uncertainty. You're buying a probability. So you describe that excitement of unboxing, right? In that moment, you don't know what's in there, but you know that there's a chance there's something you really want.
Whether it's Labubus or Funko Pops and even Marvel mystery boxes, it doesn't seem like the trend is going away anytime soon.
So I think the allure of blind boxes and mystery bags will stick around. Whether or not they're going to be specifically for Labubus, I can't say that as much.
As soon as you open it, that sense of excitement rushes through you. And even if you don't get the one you wanted, that anticipation, the excitement, the hope still will reinforce you, make you want to do this again.
As for Labubus, retailers warn there are a lot of knockoffs hitting the market now that the toy has grown in popularity. As with all mystery boxes, there's a quick sense of accomplishment until the next craze comes along. Ashley Bacon, CTV News, Kitchener.
Recapping our top stories tonight, Leanne Evans is in studio with us. And Leanne, one of the stories we're looking at tonight is that rise in popularity of drivers wanting tinted windows on their vehicles.
Yeah, and it's also putting the safety standards surrounding tinting into focus tonight. In Ontario, you cannot have any tint on your front windshield, as officers need to be able to identify someone in a vehicle based on their physical features. Installation specialists say they have seen an increase in demand for tinting as it offers benefits like increasing AC efficiency and limiting glare from the sun. Hot, humid conditions have created the perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes this summer. Public health officials say they haven't detected any cases of West Nile virus in any mosquitoes in pools of water or in their traps this summer, but a dead bird in the region tested positive for the virus. Public health is asking residents to do their best to protect themselves and the community from mosquito bites.
And a sad story on our website tonight. Our digital team has the details as the Stratford Festival mourns the loss of a veteran actor.
Yeah, Canadian actor Michael Blake, best known for his work with the Stratford Festival, has died. He spent 10 seasons with the theater company, performing in 25 different productions between 2011 and 2023. For more information on how the festival will honor his life and legacy, you can scan the QR code bottom corner of your screen or head to ctvnewskitchener.ca. Tony.
Okay, Leanne Evans with a look at our top stories. Leanne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
These days, libraries are more than a place for books. They are also a place where you can learn how to cook. CTV's Karis Map now on why a new library in Kitchener has added food literacy to its menu.
A state-of-the-art kitchen at KPL's Southwest branch, officially opening in May, allows people of all ages to be more comfortable cooking. The kitchen hosts a variety of food literacy programs, including Little Chefs, which sees kids ages 2 to 5 learn basic cooking skills and more.
Some people may look at the program and think, oh, they're just chopping things, they're just mixing things. But we try to include some like social emotional learning into it.
Proving it's never too early to get hands-on experience in the kitchen.
They've already shown an interest in food, so whenever we're making something, they're watching us and trying to join in.
Usually at home, I used to restrict, don't touch the knife, that it's risky, right? So here, without restrictions, she's so happy.
Whipping up tasty treats with lasting impacts.
Today we're doing toasties with emotis, and so we're going to talk about different emotions and how to remain cool when we're feeling a bit hot-headed.
He's just inquisitive, and he likes to do a lot of things, and this blended his art and his eating together.
Creating healthy relationships with food from childhood.
It's so vital to overall well-being to not stigmatize anything surrounding food. This is stuff we need to grow. This is stuff we need to remain at our best, both physiologically and psychologically.
This Southwest branch opened in March and is the only KPL location with a full kitchen. Behind me, there's also a garden that organizers use ingredients for their programs, creating a full garden-to-table experience.
The fact that a lot of the vegetables and things are fresh from their garden makes some of them a little more appealing for the kids. Like this one here has loved the cherry tomatoes each week, right? Have they been yummy? Yeah.
Some food for thought. Libraries continue evolving into community spaces with more than just books. The Southwest location has a recording studio, Chromebooks, and even roller skates available for public use.
It's one of the last remaining places where no matter what your background is, no matter what you are experiencing in your life, you can come to the library and have equitable opportunities for everything.
Also bridging social gaps through common interests.
I think it prepares him better for school and interacting with other kids. He lost a lot during COVID with not having other little kids, and this is just a nice way for him to get along with other kids.
The programs are free but do require online registration that can be done through KPL's website. Karis Mapp, CTV News, Kitchener.
Well, the boys of summer have fans across our region locked into the action. Coming up, we'll check in with Heather Centerin for a local lens on the Toronto Blue Jays' summer hot streak. Toronto Blue Jays fever is spreading. They're dominating the American League East, and they broke a 40-year franchise record home winning streak last night. The Yankees back in town again tonight, and the excitement's being felt way beyond the ballpark. CTV's Heather Centerin joining us now live from Morty's Pub in Waterloo. Okay, Heather, first pitch in about 15 minutes. What are you seeing there tonight?
Well, there are a few tables here. They're getting ready to watch the game. Most of them are sitting up at the bar. Now, the Blue Jays have won 59 games in the regular season, and you talked about that winning streak, right? 11 home games in a row. Not only is that impressive, it's also a franchise record. The last time they got close to that was all the way back in 1985 when they had 10 home game wins. But the question remains, can they do it again?
And this is hooked to left field. And it's into the corner.
The boys in blue are back at it, hoping to keep their winning streak going. Fans in KW are just as excited to see the Toronto Blue Jays play.
Just being they're our local team, they're still the closest one to us, and it's I mean they're Canada's team as well, and so it's just fun to get behind something and cheer for them. I mean, they were a team that weren't supposed to be as good as they are, so to watch them come up and really overachieve, it's been a fun time.
Great Canadian Holidays, based out of KW, offers day or multi-day tours that take you to and from Blue Jays games, whether that be home games at the Rogers Centre or in the States.
The home games have been really popular this year, partly because of that desire to stay home and travel within Canada, but also when the Blue Jays win, it is a lot more fun to go to the games, so we're seeing a high demand for the Jays because they're doing so well.
The vice president of the company is also a lifelong fan. She says it is exhilarating to watch the Jays play these days.
Nobody thought they were going to have this kind of a run this year, so to see them winning and winning and winning and then beating those Yankees, it's so exciting for a Jays fan. You just want to be there and feel that energy at the Dome.
There are still some spots open to join a bus tour, but with how good the Jays have been playing lately, they might not be available for long.
The game starts in about 15 minutes, and there's a lot of excitement in the air. And all of this talk about how good the Jays are doing has a lot of people wondering, will the Blue Jays go back to the World Series after more than 30 years? But only time will tell. Tony.
Oh, it is a question a lot of us who remember 1992 are asking. Heather, thank you so much for that. CTV's Heather Centerin live in Waterloo. Okay, now a look at what's coming up later tonight on CTV National News.
Tonight, mourning the loss of heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne. Remembering the complex legacy of a music pioneer and his farewell performance later on CTV National News. That sun is still shining out there. Nice, clear conditions with just a few clouds as we still remain at a very comfortable 25 degrees here in Kitchener, Waterloo. I'll let you know how warm it could get in Wake Up Weather coming up. Here's what's coming up tonight on CTV. At 7 o'clock, it's E-Talk before back-to-back-to-back Big Bang Theory episodes. Then at 9, The Amazing Race Canada. And shortly after 10, Battle of the Generations.
It's Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben in the morning.
3 awesome people that want to start your day or finish your overnight shift.
You'll laugh, you'll text, you'll call, you'll scratch your head, and maybe even beat Backstage Ben. Weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10.
Listen live on the iHeartRadio app or at 105.3 Virgin Radio.
All right, before we check in with Leanne, I have to address something because I said everyone who remembers 92 remembers the World Series win by the Jays. Of course, I meant 93 being their last one, but they won in 92 and 93.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't have known.
I thought I'd clear that up because I figured
people at home.
I figured Leanne would have called me out on it if no one else did. She's a sports expert, but we'll check in with her for a preview of 11:30. Leanne? There she is.
I thought you were going to say that Alex and I weren't born yet and wouldn't remember something.
Well, that may be true as well.
Hey, I remember it, even if I was just born around that time.
That's right.
Okay, Tony, tonight we are continuing to watch for developments on that serious crash in Oxford County we told you about earlier. It happened east of Woodstock late this afternoon. One person was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries. We're also keeping an eye on a Cambridge Council meeting where discussions surrounding accessibility upgrades to a baseball diamond are in focus tonight. So we'll bring you those stories and more at 11:30. Back to you.
Leanne, thank you so much. I should mention, too, we will bring you some Jays highlights at 11:30 as well. I was 12, and I was watching it on a friend's, one of those giant satellite dishes.
I vividly remember that.
I do vividly. I was allowed to stay up late to watch it.
Well, you're also a Jays fan, so
Yes,
it's an
very much
exciting
so.
time for those following and baseball lovers out there. I mean, it's exciting, even if you're not a diehard fan, admittedly, myself, but it's fun to kind of
It sure is.
get in on the hype.
Okay, wake up weather.
Wake up weather. So yes, beautiful day today, nice sunshine. Looks like some more sun sticking around, mainly sunny by 6 a.m. By 10 o'clock, we're going to go to more sunny conditions, 22. But again, tomorrow, high UV index sitting at 9, which is considered very high. So you want to layer up that sunscreen, stay in the shade, and maybe have a hat or two.
Good tips. Okay, a Calgary couple's wedding anniversary hike turned into a bit of a frightening ordeal. They came face to face with a grizzly bear.
And so I put up both my hands, made myself as large as possible, and just roared as loudly as I could.
Now, the couple hiking in Kananaskis country where they encountered the grizzly there. They admit they were not properly prepared and say, yeah, they'll always carry bear spray when hiking from now on. I'm sure that was a very, very startling sight and one that you don't expect to see, but, when you're out there, it's going to happen potentially.
Wild. Never know what you'll see in the backcountry. That's our time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at 11:30.
Take care.